and Julia Create. Now I have set the challenge and I'm kind of regretting it. I saw on Instagram something that really inspired me, and so I said to Dawn, we should do this. So we are making a canvas. I can live with that, but we're decorating it with clay. Now I've suddenly realised I have no experience of this whatsoever. Dawn does though. Anyway, shall we just try it out and see how we get on? So, I'm doing something that I've never really done before, as I just stated. So, in order to sort of get those creative muscles working, to kind of get out of the zone of like, oh no, what am I doing? Who suggested this? It's like, let's just ease into things. So I just prepped my canvas. I can paint the canvas white, that I can do. I then kind of got a little bit of colour and just created a little bit of gradient. I am going to go for a little forest scene in this particular make. So I decided to go blue into green gradient and let that dry. That's going to be the background that I'm going to add the clay pieces to. So as I said in the beginning, our lovely Dawn, she's an expert. So if you want to pop across and see how this should be done, check out Dawn. Dawn actually started her channel making clay things. She does a lot of books. I think she might go for a dragon eye. She's done that in the past. And she's done a cute little pug dog as well. So this is very familiar territory to Dawn. Me, not so much. So because not so much, I decided that although I had this woodland theme in my head, that I was probably best to try and sketch it out and to get a rough draft of what I wanted rather than to try and do it with clay and it turn out a complete disaster and a complete waste. At least if I had a sketch to follow, we might get on a little bit better. I was just trying to draw mushrooms from my head, which wasn't proving particularly well. I mean, you can get a basic mushroom shape, but I wasn't feeling very whimsical inspired. So I pulled out one of my old sketch pads that I knew I had drawn mushrooms in before with a variety of shapes, and I sort of copied some of those or got some ideas down from that to build my little woodland scene. So my idea is that I wanted these mushrooms to be really 3D. They're really going to pop out the page. So once I got my little scene created, it was quite messy, not gonna lie. I'm not the neatest sketcher. I don't often show my drawing on this channel, but I am going to a lot more in the future, as you'll see. So once I'd kind of got it that I was happy, I went over it with pen so that I could see it properly, and this sort of proved to be a very loose sketch and a plan for what I was going to do next. So I then sort of, once I had the idea, sketched it onto the canvas, and at this point all that I was familiar with ended. And I'm now playing with clay. I've never played with air dry clay before at all. I've watched videos. I don't know why I chose this as a challenge. Oh my word. Talk about challenging yourself. Yeah, so I started off with this air dry clay and I was struggling, not gonna lie, to get the sort of mushroom shape that I had. And as I was sculpting the second mushroom, I suddenly realised that to get it to work as I wanted it to work, I probably need to sculpt all the pieces, let them dry, which this air dry clay would take ages, and I was also need gel medium to attach it to the canvas. And at this point in my crafting life, I had ran out of gel medium. I know. And I sell gel medium and it was all gone. So I decided to end it all there, and I went to Amazon and ordered myself some paper clay. So this is Hearty Soft. I have used this a lot in the past, especially when Kezia was little. She used to love playing with Play-Doh when she was like about 2. And that's when I discovered this paper clay. So as she was sitting playing, did I say Lego? I meant Play-Doh. Did I say? Oh, I don't know. Play-Doh. Yeah, she used to play a lot with Play-Doh. Every single day we played with Play-Doh. She had so many Play-Doh kits, it was unreal. So I would just sit and hand make little flowers, and I got little molds because it was something that I could do with her, and we were kind of doing the same thing at the same time. She actually got really into it as well. The advantage of paper clay is it's really lightweight. Honestly, you would not believe how light this stuff is. You could put like massive 3D embellishments on a lightweight card and it wouldn't overpower it. It is amazing stuff. I do love it. So I am a bit more familiar with this and I'm feeling a little bit more confident. Also, I can just use my normal glue to stick it down. So I could get the paper clay quicker than I could get the gel medium. So I've kind of just put some flat pieces down to start, and now I'm kind of building it up. So I kind of rolled that stem, and now I'm going to make the top of this mushroom much more 3D and kind of layer it together. Now again, although I have played with paper clay a lot, I did make sort of fantasy flowers and things which were very cute. But other than that, I've just used molds, which I'm going to do a bit later. But this is the first time I've ever kind of got into trying to sculpt it, and yeah, it was a fun process. It took me a while, but it was a fun process. Once I kind of put those bits together, I tried to sort of smooth down the edges. To be honest, I wasn't really going for perfection. I kind of decided that if I was to go in a woodland, all the mushrooms would have texture and lumpy bumpy bits and not be perfectly aesthetically smooth. So that's what I'm going for, a really rustic, realistic mushroom scene. So I'm building up my big mushroom now. This was quite fun. So I kind of put the underbelly of it in first, then the stalk, and then I kind of blended that in. And what was great is just a little bit of glue and everything, and it's done. Then I kind of get the big mushroom shape there and just pull it to size. And as I said, because this is so lightweight, it just sort of really works. So we stick that down just with a little bit of glue, and then I'm going to roll almost like another big fat sausage and put it on the outside of that, so it really kind of matched that drawing of the swirly effect. Again, sort of neatening it up with tools. I have very minimal tools. I don't have a lot. As I said, it was more Kezia that used to play with this when she was really little, so I've literally got this ball tool, I think, and the rolling pin. I don't have much else, but we made do with what we had. So I was just trying to neaten it all in there, and yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. So yeah, this is definitely a case of pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. I've never done this before, and to be honest, I had an absolute blast. I really enjoyed doing it. And what I would say is, as you'll see me go through the process, I end up using a lot of products that I normally use, a lot of techniques that I normally use when I'm creating a journal page and things like that. So it was mixing something that I've never really done before with other things that I was familiar with. And the really good advantage of that is this kind of helps you to build your own unique style. So there isn't probably too many people that would actually create a picture like this, which is going to make this really unique because I'm not following specific techniques that a person who was really familiar with clay and a clay expert would use. I found my own way of doing it, and that kind of worked out. Look at that, it's so satisfying. Just it was great. It's so much the sensory thing of this paper clay is so good. It feels so nice. So I'm just kind of thinking a mushroom there. Yeah, so I think I watch Mariah Elizabeth quite a lot with Kezia. It's our Friday night tradition that we sit there and we watch it together. And when she started doing different sculpting and things, it wasn't really her forte. Now she does it quite a lot, but she kind of seals up all the cracks using puffy paint. Now no other clay artist does that as far as I'm aware, but because that was what she was used to when she did her squishy makeovers, she's kind of transferred that into her clay art, and that makes it unique to her. So this is clay art, but all the paper crafting techniques and products that I use are going to be incorporated, so it makes it unique to me. So I think that's a top tip. If you're trying something that you've never really done before, it's okay to do it your way. It's okay to do it in a way where you can include other things that you are confident and familiar with. In fact, it's probably the best thing to do because you're only tackling one new thing then. I did actually leave this outside to dry. I didn't have a huge amount of time because we were going on holiday. So although we've just done the last Dawn and Julia creating, technically I have 2 weeks. Because I was going on holiday, I was really pushed for time again. So I let it dry outside. With it being paper, it did dry a bit quicker than traditional clay would have done. But yeah, thankfully it was a lovely sunny day. That really did help. So I've put in some acrylic paints here. And when I am working with a 3D thing, normally if you see me do like a mixed media project where I'm altering something, or if I'm using MDF, I do still like to give things a multi-tonal effect. And I quite like to mix the paint on the actual product. So I was doing the same here. I had about 3 different shades of green, and I was just gradually mixing it on the leaf at the time. and just letting it blend there. It wasn't perfect, but yeah, I don't know that I was going to get perfect, and I sort of add a few more details later. I mentioned earlier that I do have clay molds, so rather than try and create lots of extra leaves by hand, it was like, well, have a dog and bark yourself sort of scenario, that I decided just to create some little leaves and things using the molds as added extras just in case. So as I was letting the green dry on the canvas, I just sort of coloured all of these up, ready to use a little bit later if I needed them. We then are going through the exact same process now, but we are creating the colour for the stalks. And this was really good because I see when it was all white, it just looked really flat. Even though I could see the dimension, it just looked really flat because there was no colour on it. But as you gradually added the colour, it really did bring it to life. So finally we get the red on, and this is where we really see the whole project pop. Because, oh my goodness, look at those mushrooms. They are so adorable. Absolutely love this project, honestly. If you have seen something online and you think, do you know what, I'd love to give that a try, but I'm no good, or I'd love to give that a try, but I've not done it before, just do it. I mean, what is the worst that can happen? That it doesn't turn out. But if you've learned something, that's fab, and you could just come up. I am so going to do this again. I absolutely loved it. Now, as you can see, as I was painting away, I created quite a few messy edges. So the next day, once that was all fully dry, this is the next day by this point, you couldn't tell because of all the transitions and the magic of editing, I did come in with a tiny little brush and just sort of got rid of all of those messy bits. So we had a little bit of red that escaped onto the leaves, and as you can see, we had a few splatters that went onto the background. So with my tiny brush, this was actually quite painstaking. You can just about see, I've tried to cut it out, but you can just about see my hair getting into shot. I used my Artex markers. There will be a review of these coming very soon. It's all edited and ready to go. I had planned to voice over it today at the same time as I was doing this, and so I could upload it while I was on holiday, but it's now 11:30, so can't see that happening. So you'll now probably see that video after this video, but it is coming. You saw me make little clay balls. Now, the reason I decided to do these separate was I thought that if I added them at the first stage, it would have been a nightmare to try and paint the red toadstools and keep the little balls white. So I decided if I just made them separate, I could glue them on at the end. So that's what I've done. Added this, and then this is when I bring the leaves in. And I think this is for me where it started to feel a bit more like what I had in my head, and I started to feel a lot happier with it. It was quite sort of simple and cartoony up until this point, and I think just having the detail in these leaves really just elevated it to another level. So I've just kind of put these in and rearranged them, and I love the fact that we've got lots of different greens in there, especially, you know, if you go into the forest. Actually, we've done quite a few little bits of video for shorts and reels and things with my daughter using this particular art piece, so they will be coming. But yeah, when you go into the forest, there's so many different greens. Now it's still looking a little bit flat, so this is what I mean about bringing techniques that I normally use into play. So I've got a little bit of gold, and I'm just dry brushing all of this. It doesn't make a huge difference, just a little bit, but you can just see it's caught some of the edges and things there, and I just thought that sort of brought it to the next level a little bit. Then with the Artex white pen, I was able to add sort of little highlights and doodles, which was fab. Normally if I'm drawing or colouring, I would do that to make it pop. So again, that was a crossover of techniques. I really can't wait to see what Dawn does, because actually Dawn's probably done it all properly, as a clay artist should. So this is how an amateur who doesn't know what she's doing goes about it, basically hiding everything under paint and sparkles. But it'd be really interesting to see what Dawn has done. So finally, I bring out my souffle. I think this one is Chameleon Summer. It's got a gorgeous green and gold. I found the bottom of this canvas quite messy where all the different leaves were. It wasn't very even. So by kind of putting chunky bits of the souffle down there, it just sort of grounded it all. I went round with this little biro pen. wasn't fussed on that, so we altered that a little bit later. Again, coming in with those markers and just drawing little dots. I think I drew some in yellow, some in pink and some in white, and it was just to soften it and almost give the illusion of little flowers in the background, but I didn't want definite flowers because I didn't want it to take away from the mushrooms. I've added one of Dawn's sentiments, just glued that in. So this is one of Dawn's sentiment sheets. You can get that over on her website. I love Dawn's sentiments. And the next Dawn and Julia create, I use quite a few in that one as well. And yeah, I decided to make this line a lot more prominent. So yeah, just went over that with this brush marker, and there it is. Absolutely love it. I hope you guys like it too. I'm just so thrilled with this one. If you enjoy mixed media, you may want to check out this particular project here, and please don't forget to pop across and see the amazing Dawn, because, well, as I said, she knows what she's doing. She'll have knocked it out the park. It will be gorgeous, and you might actually learn how to do this malarkey instead of watching somebody try and do it. Take care, and we'll see you again soon.